Oh yeah, shout out to UkrainianAna for staying around after everybody left. Obviously, she has every incentive to do so, just mainly because, oh my god, the game is too loud. I do want to turn on game volume, but let me know if it's too disruptive, okay? I'm gonna turn it all the way down here, okay? Um, but I'm glad that UkrainianAna stuck around, considering how everybody else left and she felt socially pressured to leave. At the same time, there is no probable world in which she will actually leave Destiny, just mainly because the DGG orbit gives her a lot of donations for Ukraine, gives her a lot of donations for the war effort. And the war effort, like morally speaking, is more important than whatever crime Steven may or may not have committed, right? So even if you admit that Steven has committed some crazy, like fucking crazy crime or some shit, or you're an anti-fan, you believe that, um, I feel like people have to come to understand Ukrainian Anna's position. But no, instead, what I see is a lot of people hating on Ukrainian Anna the same way that they would hate on any kind of person that they're anti-fanning over. Which, I mean, you can't really place that burden on her, in my opinion, to be honest. She talks about the smell of people who have been compacted into the ground. What? Okay, I'm too
Are there a
curious.
bunch of
My
nets outside your house over the
morbid
street?
curiosity.
Nets?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like FPV catching
Yeah,
nets?
I saw a picture on Reddit the other day that I don't know if this is super common throughout all of, I guess, like the parts of Ukraine that are closest to Russia, but apparently there
Yeah,
are nets now that like are for catching or intercepting drones.
yeah, but not in like big cities inside the cities usually. They're
Mhm.
like on the perimeter, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
So
gotcha.
yeah, yes, you don't really kind of depends, I guess. If it's like a city closer to the front line, then you might see like in the actual city,
Mhm.
but because they obviously bomb the cities, so they will fly in there. So, but in my particular like where I live in Kharkiv, I don't see them. But if you go like on the outskirts or like closer, a little bit closer to the region, then that will be you can see them. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty weird.
Is
Like have a big mosquito infestation or some shit. Like
yeah.
very looks strange.
There's a dark. This is you okay, you always seem
Hmm.
happy. You would tell me obviously if I said anything that was upsetting or whatever. Sometimes it feels weird to kind of like, because I'm sitting at my house and I can like think of like, oh, this is kind of weird or kind of crazy, but I know it's your life or whatever, right? But yeah, it's a very different lived experience. There's like a weird world I imagine where like future combat ends up like looking so much more primitive than what existed in the past.
Drones are the scariest thing since nukes invented. Nukes aren't actually scary. Okay, that's a lie. Nukes are scary, but they're not as scary as the propaganda that is born from pure fear of nukes. I think over time, the USSR and Russia have perfected the propaganda around utilizing the fear of nukes as a weapon against other countries, because as long as they say, well, if you do anything against us and retaliate or defend yourself in any way, then we're going to possibly use nukes. And the possibility makes people concede. Yeah, it's not good.
Just because
Okay,
some people
but
discover such cost effective.
but in actuality, if you watch some channels that catch up on the Ukraine Russia shit, a lot of times they will say that the nukes are completely over exaggerated. Like for example, in the USSR, they filled some of the silos, I think, with wood. Your most base take? Oh, okay. Like they filled some of the fucking missiles with wood, and it's only for parade purposes. It's not actually nukes. It's like fucking it's filled up with like dense shit in order to, because no one's gonna tell from the outside for a military parade. They're there to spread fear and propaganda, right? Um and when it comes to missile silos, we're all not sure about um whether or not they're being maintained, because in order to maintain missile silos and these launching points and whatnot, it requires a lot of money to do so. It requires a good economy. So it's like there's like multiple aspects of all of this that greatly implies that Russia is hiding its weakness when it comes to nuclear shit. But because everybody knows that Russia has nukes, then they get to utilize that fear, even though it is a bluff, essentially. Obviously, you don't want to test that bluff either, because we can all guess that they have at least like 10 functional nukes, and 10 functional nukes is enough to, wipe out a lot of shit. Um, but, you know, yeah. That's not as much nukes as other people when everybody else retaliates against Russia, okay, for using nukes. The former USSR is using the West's fears about nukes against them. The former USSR would never fire a nuke. Well, I mean, you say that, but then we got pretty close, right?
effective ways of
Yeah.
doing things to where like in the
It was pretty
future
close.
like combat is like a bunch of people running around with really long like pole arms like spears and stuff to like push drones away from them, and nobody can afford to use like rifles or guns because all of it is like blown up so easily by drones, so it just ends, or like people with like lassos or net catchers or like trap shooters with shotguns just to shoot down.
But there is a world worse than Russia using nukes. If anybody can figure that out, okay? The world that is worse than Russia using nukes is a world where Russia is utilizing the fear of nukes to conquer other countries and to enact genocide. Right? I don't think that's an unreasonable take. Yeah, I don't think that's an unreasonable take. There is a world worse than nuclear war, and that is the world of conceding to countries like Russia, who feel emboldened to use the nukes as a means, not for exploding the nukes on someone, but for using it as a justification for non-retaliation and for like attacking other countries and
like
shit.
drones
Yeah.
because it's so cost effective. It feels like
Yeah.
the combat, the battlefield in your guys' country is so much different than what anybody would have predicted any battlefield would look like 3 years ago, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, even like by my estimation, because like I seen it from 2014.
Like, okay, you know what? You should make people bite the bullet on this. Do you feel like it's justified to use a nuke in Russia if Russia is confirmed to be genociding all Ukrainians, not just the people on the war front, but including in its own country? Like, if you found evidence for sure, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that um, they're essentially like enacting the Bosnian genocide, the equivalent of such, against the Ukrainians on their own home turf, right? Like, don't you think maybe using nukes could be justified? Maybe I don't know, right? I don't know.
To then much more bigger version of it in 22 because it was full scale at that point, right? And then from 22 to now, gonna be 26 soon.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's been a fucking while. Let's say, but I just it evolved even in that period so much. So it went from like being like this, like in the beginning in 22, for example, right? There was like mostly artillery back and forth, right? So
Yeah.
there was like a lot of artillery, like World War One kind of shit, trenches, that sort of thing, right? And then
This
like
is the artillery that you guys
actually
were using to genocide the innocent Donbass Russian citizens, right?
Yeah,
I think Jackson Henkel told me that one.
type,
Yeah.
yeah, that sort of shit, yeah. But then it was like completely shifted from that to drones primarily now. So it was like a gradual sort of like process, and now it's at the beginning it was like just drones versus like humans taking the drones down with like machine guns, and they still do that now. Obviously, our like defense teams, but now it's like evolving into drones versus drones.
Yeah.
So it's not even like people hunting like the drones with the rifle or like a shotgun or like a machine gun or whatever, right? Attached to the car or some shit. No, people saw that I think with like from Ukraine and stuff. But now it's like drones versus drones because there's like those interceptor drones now that are specifically built to basically fight the drones, and they like grab it, sort of the drone, and they explode kind of together before like reaching the destination that the drone was going for. So it's kind of like even weirder now somehow.
Yeah. One of the really kind of sad things that I traveled so much this past month or two. I don't remember where I was. But I was talking to some.
Yeah, you have been everywhere. I haven't been able to keep up with
going
you
around,
popping
yeah.
up all over the place. Yeah.
I think this guy was in the Navy. I don't remember. I don't even remember who we talked to what this was, but he was giving me a long talk basically about. I think this guy was even a conservative too. It's so funny. I meet a lot of like conservatives just in a lot of the events that I do, and every now and then they'll be like in a sector. Have you heard of something called the Gelman amnesia effect?
Can you repeat it? Amnesia what?
Like Gelman or Gelman amnesia. Basically, you're flipping through a newspaper. The first 5 pages, you believe everything you read, and then on page 6, there's something about your
Does Sudan and Rwanda have nukes? No.
Ukraine. You're like, oh my god, this is so wrong.
think so.
And then you turn the next page, and then you don't know what like the subject matter for that, so you believe everything you read again, right? So when it comes to like an area that you're specializing in, you're like, wow, I see how wrong this information is. But then you go back to trusting everything.
The war has stalled. The defenders will always have the advantage. I find this to be the case whenever there's warfare going on. Yeah. If you look at any war, attacking the homeland of another country is way harder than defending your own territory that you are familiar with and you can navigate through and go back and forth on. Yeah. I mean, Hitler tried to invade Russia, right?
everything else, right?
Shouldn't you then the opposite be true? Like,
Well,
shouldn't
you
you
should,
be, like,
yeah, but people,
questioning about it?
What a
but people generally
dumbass.
don't do that, right? They just, yeah. So when it's a subject matter that they know a lot about, they're like, wow, the media is so wrong on this. But then they go back to just believing everything else when they're reading in a particular thing. I'll meet a lot of conservatives who, I remember meeting this one guy at a debate conference thing I did, where this guy he worked as like a foreign ambassador, I want to say to like Morocco. And he was a hardcore ride or die MAGA guy. He was there as like, I think he was like the father of one of these conservative kids. And he was just telling me how absolutely catastrophic the USAID cut stuff was, that it was just so destructive for U.S. interests in so many areas that were not actively involved in conflict. And yeah, and then I asked him, I was like, how do you feel when you talk to fellow MAGA people about this? Like, and he's like, well, I worked in these embassies and I saw it firsthand. It's just hard for people to understand what's actually going on there. But then I asked him, at some point the conversation goes back to like the FBI or the CIA or something, and he's like, yeah, I think a lot of these organizations are like working together to bring down the president of the United States. I'm like, but you worked in the State Department. You never saw anything like this. Why would you assume that this is true of any other department?
Yeah, that's pretty horrible, actually.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? But okay, sorry. All that to bring it back. Sorry. So I was talking to a military dude, and he was saying, it was a perspective that I hadn't quite heard before, but that real life battle combat experience, there is no shortcut to see how things evolve naturally on a battlefield, right? Especially protracted, especially with great powers. And that the idea that Ukraine has kind of been left to fend for itself, the United States, nobody knows what war, even though we keep fucking jerking off about it, nobody knows what war would look like between the US and Russia, or between the US and China, or what proxy wars would look like, or what, like, no one has any idea. And the idea that the United States could be a heavy participant in some way, maybe not directly, but at least in some way with Ukraine, could yield so much valuable information for how do you deal with, evolving military conflict in the 21st century, whatever, and then going forward, that we're just foregoing all of that.
Yeah, that experience is severely lacking, which is why it's extremely valuable to get that experience. Which is why Ukraine instructors would come to Europe mainland, and they have a school there. I forgot what the school is called. It's like this tiny little cute little place where they teach European leaders and European military people how modern warfare is conducted, how drone warfare is conducted, how to counter Russia's defenses. That stuff is being taught actively right now for free to the Europeans. And that is also part of the reason why Europe wants to support Ukraine so bad, not only because of Putin, but because they have valuable combat data to give to the Europeans. The drone school is in Poland? Okay. I heard of another school in the UK, but they didn't have to do this. Ukraine doesn't have to do this, right? Ukraine didn't have to do any of this.
Potential learning experience for the dumbest political reasons ever, and all of that experience instead is being gained by Russia. It's probably being transferred to people in China, Iran, or whatever. And it's just stuff that we're totally forgetting.
I mean, people like, for example, I'm not exactly sure if that's his name, Ryan Macbeth.
Yes.
Ryan. Oh yeah, that's the guy. He actually talked about it then, that how much information we were actually given to America when Biden was basically, in power and all of that. How much like transferring of like drone data, like glide bomb data, all of that we were doing.
Ukraine is training all the major armies in the UK right now. Does the UK have any standing armies? How many countries have standing armies? Does anybody know?
To them, so it's not like we were not even doing that. So we were already collaborating quite a bit in like terms of like information, right? Because we are like, not to like be dramatic, but we are like basically the only people now who are engaging in a like big boy war.
Yes, yeah.
So with like a lot of like actual like
Yes, Poland. Okay.
Super duper heavy.
They all do except for Switzerland.
Of like heavy artillery, bombs, drones, all sorts of stuff. So it's not like just like not to like it's not Houthis in sandals basically. It's a little bit bigger. Like we control Russia all we want because obviously it's not as great power as it pretends to be.
But it's a great power conflict. It's not like Israel, Gaza could be instructive on like guerrilla warfare or types of terrorist attacks from like super asymmetric warfare. Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. Real quick, someone in chat said, Destiny, isn't this why red versus blue exercises are being done? There are plenty of examples where the red team took Americans really by surprise. While that is kind of true, back when I was a StarCraft 2 professional gamer, one thing that you would learn, so there are 3 races in StarCraft, Zerg, Terran, and Protoss. If you practice really heavily, let's say I have a tournament upcoming, my weakest match is EVP, and I want to practice Protoss. When I practice a lot against one Protoss player, Minigun was a guy who practiced most against, I wouldn't really get good at Zerg versus Protoss. I would get really good at Zerg versus Minigun, and sometimes I would trick myself into thinking I'd learned ZVP really well. And as soon as I start, and what happens is when you practice with the same person for extended periods of time, you will start to develop a rhythm for each other, and you will actually learn each other's matchups so well that when you go to play somebody of the same race who's a different different human, the game plays out quite differently. You're like, wait, Chad always scouts with his like 14th probe. This guy's got to be like 2 probes earlier. My whole shit is fucked. Not to say that red teaming is impossible, but like there's no substitute for a real life great power enemy. Even if you do a lot of practice runs on your own, there's just no substitute for that actual experience. You have no idea what technologies or things that they would develop,
Sure.
given all the ingenuity and all the necessity and everything of a protracted conflict. Now, sorry.
Yeah, also like obviously, you're gonna be like a fool to not admit that American military is highly advanced. It's quite up there, probably the best right now. But it's just that the fact that you still
This makes me miss. This makes me miss fucking discourse like this. Yeah, I don't know. Conversations like this are pretty valuable.
use that
in my
mostly
opinion.
against people way less advanced
Asymmetrical,
than you.
Yeah, I
so
would
it's
argue a
not
lot of our
like
stuff is focused on like harm reduction almost. It's weird. People don't like to hear that, but like,
Yeah.
but precision strikes, like how do we make it so we don't like let's minimize
like
civilian
you did in
casualties
like
and stuff.
Afghanistan in comparison to Russia, for
Sure.
example. If you like just compare the
Mhm.
numbers of mass death amongst civilians due to your actions, it's minuscule compared to literal millions that Russians nuked there, like Soviet, Russia time.
Yeah.
So it's a different sort of like the type of warfare you did is completely different. So if you wanted to learn about this type of shit with the potential of it happening maybe at some point, right, with China or whatever, like Russia, unlikely honestly, but who knows? Maybe they will. They will actually destroy us and then form a coalition of the biggest fuckers this time around, and it's gonna be World War III. I don't know, like it can be, I guess.
Sure.
So yeah, you could learn things obviously that way, and especially with like drone stuff,
So
because
Radiant
that's
said,
like quite new.
Ukraine and Russia are both trying to be very cheap with their fighting, and Soviet warfighting doctrine is highly artillery based. The tech level of a NATO country in a modern conflict will likely make drones pointless or very limited use, in my opinion, with electronic jammers and better AA. While that might be true, I still remember. I feel like I joked about this and found out I was wrong about this the same day or something. Like something about how like I don't like jammers would just make everything so easy. I don't know why drones would ever be a problem. And I think someone in chat said something like, "Oh no,
Jam most of them.
what?"
Yeah, you can't really jam most of them these days.
Because you're running fiber, and somebody was like, "Oh, they just attach fiber to all of them," and I'm like, "That? What are you saying? They have miles of fiber attached to all of these?"
No,
and they do.
it's not like
with
that.
something. Well, but I mean, there's like hundreds of miles of fiber that are just like I've watched you guys go out and like collect. Like you can see people walking through and picking up like all the old fiber from these drones. Like, oh shit, I've never thought of that.
There's a lot of like nuance to this thing. Like many people obviously say like big planes, big gains, I guess. But there's also such a thing as like, for example, you remember that like spider web attack we did with planes destroyed a bunch of So it's just like it's kind of funny that like a bunch of little drones stashed in a big car or some shit just blew up so much. It's a different type of warfare, but also like I don't know if you guys saw this, but like the Russian drones flew in NATO space, and there were like a bunch of ways to try to like stop them, and it wasn't effective, like the big planes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things, and it's progressing field. So each day they become more devastating. So it started with like little fucking buzzers that didn't do that much damage on explosion, right? And now it's like basically an equivalent of a missile. So they have jet drones now that are super, super fast, and it's quite difficult.
People don't really think about it. Who fucking cares if you have the best tanks, best murder birds, best navy, if you can't even fuel all of them? Sure, yeah.
To deal with them. And
the logistics is
at the beginning, like you would hit like a residential building, for example, would be hit with a drone, and it's bad, obviously, but it's not anywhere near like it collapses the whole building, right? Like a missile would. And now it's like that. So they're huge, by the way, Shahed drones. Most people don't like know, but they're humongous. They're not like some drones you fly for funsies, right? Or like FPV-sized drones. They're huge. Like they're bigger than an adult dude, like by 2 times, basically. So yeah, so imagine that flying into your house. Now it's way less fun.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, so
okay, I'm sorry. People keep typing super retarded shit. This guy's talking to Radiant. He says, and mounted lasers are becoming a lot more accessible.
Oh my god, bro, give me a break. Okay, all right. No, let him cook.
To NATO now, we're basically at the power levels required to defeat drones miles away easily, given good weather and line of sight. Yeah, I understand you're saying that, but like there are countermeasures that are constantly developed, right? Military tech is always like a leapfrog from back and forth from each side. I don't know why you're saying like, oh, well, we can counter this one thing easily. Maybe you could, but maybe the counter to that is they start flying with fucking 1 millimeter thick lead fucking fronts or whatever. Now it's completely who knows? Like I'm just saying that when 2 people fight against each other for long periods of time, there's a lot of technological development that happens in the course of that conflict. The fighting that's happening right now, and maybe it was predicted, I just didn't see it, but I don't think anybody predicted the fighting that would happen right now. They would have predicted that at the start of the modern Ukraine-Russian conflict. Nobody would have said even a few years ago it was all about like artillery shells and blowing stuff up and whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying that was 10 videos of drone. Yeah.
And most like I'm not a military expert obviously, but like I saw a bunch of people from like NATO and
Bro, dude. Bro, Radiant is the kind of motherfucker who would just like mansplain his way through like actual war victims. Like I feel like he's the kind of person like he would take like the average person who has been through like some kind of like fucking like the siege of Sarajevo, some civilian who was subjected to the siege, and he'll be like, uh, excuse me, you could have made like rocket launchers in your backyard from all the scraps lying there. You could have easily done that, but you were too lazy.
As well in United States, generally
Gonna
people
I am
are
gonna add
militarists,
hom.
like talking about it,
Screw
and they
you.
seem to be pretty concerned with the fact that that they are not actively taking now information from us, and that there is a huge risk of basically lagging a little bit behind in that sense. Yeah, so people, they do talk about it. Obviously, like all of us know. I think if you're not like insane that United States is way more advanced in general than even China now, right? Or like no, never mind Russia. Russia is like way behind, obviously, right? But it doesn't mean that it can't be a problem for you in the future. First of all, and second of all, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and
Like
there's
just in huge numbers of people is already a problem.
yeah, and the
And
cost
how many
effectiveness
will
and
be
everything.
defending your country as well?
Yeah,
So
and
I'm kind of like
Don't
not
like your
sure about that
comments?
one.
Thank
the
you.
cost effectiveness of stuff is important. Like just being technologically superior. Again, like this. I mean, like these are lessons learned from RTS or EVE Online or whatever too. Like you can feel if you're fielding really expensive, really
Okay.
huge, really big resource-intensive capital ships in EVE, but your layered defenses aren't set up appropriately, you could lose something worth billions of ISK to fucking frigates if you're not.
The same concept like applies in fuck, what is it? Like even BattleTech teaches you this principle. Because if you field like the fucking if you field only large fucking shit, then you are ultimately vulnerable to a bunch of other attacks, because even though you can tank a lot, you can't tank all of them. And you need to have your mix. You need to have your skirmishers. You need to like be able to have different ways of countering shit in like evasive wise, right? I don't know, like with any kind of strategy game, like XCOM as well, you need to be able to you can't fill your entire team with tanks or your entire team with DPS or your entire team with healers, right?
Equipped properly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
small. Yes,
yeah, like you guys ended up. Is the entire Black Sea Fleet gone?
basically.
Yeah, so for Russia that sucks, but like imagine if through this drone back and forth they discover a cost-effective way to use drones to attack ships. Now imagine that the U.S. could observe this in combat and develop countermeasures really quickly. The countermeasures, what if those countermeasures came at the cost of 2 aircraft carriers, and then we figure out how to counter it? That's a really, 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 really big loss. So it's hard.
Yeah.
It's just for all that free experience to just be sitting out there, and we're just sitting here, but nothing the U.S. does is serious anymore. So yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, I would like to brag a little bit. We are almost done with the film we did all this time. And me, Devin, Corey, we are like our own media now. I guess we're sort of creating our own little media company, because if you don't see like the change in the world, how it's the phrase become it or some shit, I don't know in English, some inspirational stuff. So we want to be like the journalist we don't see, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are now like at the process of finishing the film we made about DSNS, and it's like rescue services, basically broad term for the rescue services. So like a fireman, medical personnel, rescue teams, ambulances, all that sort of thing working together, right? And the film is quite cool. I think it's like I like it. Obviously, we made it, but I think it shows the side of it that nobody really shows, like actual attacks on civilians filmed like from us on the place, right? Actual like stuff that how people work, how people pull people out, how does the systems work, how the country and the cities keep being alive essentially despite all of that. So I think it would be cool.
You're wrong, I served. Actively impressive. Like by served, what do you mean? Did you serve like as a Marine? Did you serve abroad? Did you actually participate in a gunfight? Yeah, I mean that could have a lot of meanings.
And we really
right?
want to show it in theaters, obviously, primarily like in Kiev and Kharkiv, but also in like US, Ireland, like a bunch of places. So yeah, I will post about that when I know more about if we will be able to show it like in theaters and such. But it would be cool to make another one as well that we plan to do if that one works out.
Well, that's cool. Did you work with? Is Dylan at all involved in this, or is this a totally separate thing?
Dylan, no, yeah,
Okay.
Devin is a different person. A lot of D people, okay.
Sure. Well, I wasn't curious. I was curious if he was involved or was filmed or anything about it. Okay.
No. Dylan does his own stuff, like yeah. But I was like involved with his stuff when he was initially here. Like we did a lot of projects together, I guess you could say. But I was just mostly helping him like as a translator, or like I was the interviewee,
metaphor?
I guess you
Oh.
could say, and stuff like that, showing him stuff,
What?
taking him places as well.
Oh.
But this is like a new stuff we're
Okay.
doing with another
All
person
right,
who is
dude.
also a cool American dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and what else? Oh, you met a paralysis demon, I saw.
Oh, yeah, that's my war zone, my war going on here, my enemies. Yeah.
Actual paralysis demon. Like, I usually don't comment on people's appearances because I don't think it's like very, nice thing to do. Basically, bad manners. But man, what's going on there?
Oh, I
Like,
didn't even
yeah,
necessarily
must
mean it as an appearance thing. I didn't even think about that. It's just the idea of being somewhere and then like my
Full
fucking
of it.
nightmare fucking shows up who's like stalking
I
me with their
meant that
camera.
too,
Like,
but yeah, but it also is the appearance. Like,
Oh,
I would
no.
be running the opposite direction of that. Like, drones would scare me less, unironically.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you just like ran into her? Like,
Well, I was down in
by
I was down in
accident?
Austin. There's a street called 6th Street. It's like the most famous place to be at in almost in most of Texas, even maybe, but definitely in all of Austin. It's like that's where you go to drink. And this girl just runs up on me and a friend, and she's like, "Are you stalking me? You guys were patrolling the street looking for me." And it's like, I didn't even know you lived here. I thought you still live in Florida. So I don't know.
So weird. Like, of all
Friend.
things. I mean, I guess if she's there, then the chance to run into her is there as well. But yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, just made me like, I watched it. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, actually, I thought at first it was like some sort of like skit or like meme or something. I don't know. Like, I didn't even take it like as a serious thing. And then I was like, oh man, that actually happened.
Well,
Well, she doesn't even know the beginning of it. Oh my god. Oh no, don't do it, okay? Keep her out of this.
Do people use your smile there as a meme now? I imagine.
Yeah, well, because I saw when she
yeah.
ran up to me, my friend, she had her phone out like she was recording shit. So I'm like, okay, well, she's trying to take some video to say that I did something. Or I don't want her to cut anything together. So I just took my phone out, started recording and taking selfies and pictures. Like, yeah, why not? Fuck it.
Stressful life, dude. Like, people shoot people like who are doing like media stuff, like Charlie Kirk and stuff, and now this as well. Ugh. Can't catch a break.
Yep, it's rough. You'll never understand the difficulties.
Yeah. I mean, not to me, but it actually seems like stressful to me. Like, it's a different type of thing. Obviously, I don't deal with any of that, but it just seems strange. Strange life, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just have you like been like extra careful, like worried about the whole like Charlie Kirk thing happening? Like, have like extra security, or like you're just
I mean, yeah,
like,
there's a lot
fuck
of the schools are providing security events. I see cops standing up buildings and everything, which is nice. I shouldn't say this. I feel like I'm inviting somebody to test my luck, but like, I'm not like I feel like Charlie got really unlucky. He rolled poorly like 3 different times. For that guy for him to be in a
not the
shot.
roll.
Well, I mean, like, because a guy got into an area we could shoot him. A guy shot. It was a single shot at 150 yards, bolt action rifle. So he had 1 shot to hit. He manages to insta kill him with the shot. It's just like there's so many things
I saw the video. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So I feel like even if somebody tried, hopefully they wouldn't be successful at 1 shot like that. I don't know. Hopefully not. Don't try it though. But yeah, so, I don't know. I just for some reason it doesn't register as much in my mind. So. But I might have that young man's like invincibility feeling still.
Yeah,
all young men feel like they're invincible. That's just a young man's thing. Yeah.
Is this foreshadowing?
Yeah, it's actually, it's actually a man thing, I would say. It's not a young man thing. Like, you have like all the fuckers right now when they're like, oh, yeah, the missile would not hit me. And I'm like, why exactly? Like, and he's like, because I'm a, invincible dude, man. And you're like, bro, you're like 70 years old. Like, a wind could kill you. Like, are you serious right now? Anyway, it's just sometimes I feel like...
They send young people out to die. They do that.
Talking about like gender differences stuff, like I don't really care that much about that. But if you actually work with people, especially in like extreme conditions, those differences do stick out. Let me tell you.
For sure, yeah.
in terms of how people behave, and in terms of like you would never, like I swear, you would never catch a woman going on the balcony filming a drone that is getting closer. Like you just won't get it. It won't happen. And with men, it's like a regular thing. All my friends do that. Volunteer people do that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, go in the middle and stay there. Like, no, you're filming, doesn't care. Yeah, it's man. Okay.
Yeah. I think my growing up equivalent to that in the US was in the Midwest, we have a...
This is where the convo starts to get dark? Wait, it wasn't dark already? Also, to be fair, I mean, there's not much that can surprise me at this point. Just mainly because I interviewed UkrainianAna like twice now at this point, and she's already told me about all the gruesome details and sent me all the gruesome photos. So it's like there's nothing much that she can say to surprise me anymore in like when it comes to gore.
Tornadoes, and it would always be like grandpa
almost like
would want to go out on
PTSD.
the porch and...
I actually asked her about that. I was like, hey, Anna, do you think that you have some degree of like trauma and shit when it comes to all this war shit? And she said like, yeah, most likely, but like it's not important to think about that right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally fair.
See if you could see the incoming storm, and it would be grandma inside who's like
Yeah,
screaming, yeah, Kenny, get back in here. What are you doing? You're crazy. Well, yeah, just dumb shit like that.
Exactly that, but it's drones. Like exactly that. I have actual footage of that happening with my friend Fike. He's like on the balcony filming the drones that are hitting basically like in the opposite building of his. So incredibly close. And his wife is like, Fike, what the fuck? Get it? exactly that sort of situation. She's just screaming in the background. So go back to like where I am. Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon, I guess.
Do you think that changes though if they experience an attack where they do get hurt or they have a really close call? Does that change?
I guess, but also I would say that people's minds are a little bit fucked now in the sense that what we call close call is like being actually directly hit, you know? Like most people would say like getting a drone, a huge ass explosion, like basically like 2 minutes away from where you are is close call. Like I guess most normal people would say that outside of war, right? But in our mind, it's not a close call. It's just a daily shit. Okay, so if like something explodes, like basically like I don't know, like 300 meters away from me, it's not really the closest of calls.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Yeah, so that's kind of like changes.
That's
if you actually
dark.
get like buried under rubble
Okay.
or get like part of your fucking body turn up, then yeah, people usually tend to be more careful. Yeah. And sometimes it even like if it affects someone like super close to you, it could also matter. Like if it's like someone you loved or something like that. But you kind of like I don't know, you kind of like get
In Anna's case, this is especially true for her because her dad died to Russian shelling.
like desensitized is the word I think. Like you just stop caring. I don't know. It's not good, but it's also I think an adaptation thing at the end of the day. Like if you like cared about everything and you like I don't know I don't remember if I told you, but like at the beginning when like first people were killed in Kharkiv in like my city, it was insanely distressing. Like I remember I was just like absolutely shocked. They were like I saw them, they were like just lying around in the snow, blood everywhere, and there was like bags of like potatoes and food that they hold. And it was clear that they went to find food when there was no food at the time for 2 weeks during the siege, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was like running around trying to find some food for my family, friends, and stuff. Water. I would like go run to the like close by water stream.
Not fall.
Zip Zip, thank you so much for the raid with 12 viewers. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for your raid, Dunkkick. I'm currently watching the disturbing Anna and Destiny talk.
And then I under artillery, and I would like grab a bunch of like bottles and get a big backpack, like travel type of thing, like big one that people have like when they go hiking or some shit. And
are you wearing contacts? I am. I'm wearing heterochromatic eyes this time. See, one is pale yellow and one is pale blue. So. Yeah.
I would like stuff it with water, and me and my sister would like run around and deliver this water to people because there was no drinking water and no water pronto, like no, not at all. So we were like doing the basic stuff, and we were like running back around, and at some point artillery shell landed and it killed people like basically like 100 meters away that were doing the exact same thing as we were doing.
Yeah, sure.
And that was like
I
so shocking. And I remember like not only it was shocking, it was difficult, like emotionally. I would like cry and shit, And
sure.
Then time moved on. And that became such a regular thing that I don't really feel much anymore. So I don't know. It's not because like I don't care or like I don't know, became cruel or some shit. I don't think, but it's just you can't. If you like live like that and you will like cry over every fucking thing, you would like lose your mind.
True.
You need to be functional, right? And to be functional and to be useful to other people, you have to be a stoic Slav meme.
Yeah.
I guess is what needs to happen. And it happened. Like to me, it happened to most people. Sometimes something would still break through that. I don't know why exactly, but there would be like a little thing that really breaks through that somehow. So a sort of event or something that I don't know, maybe like speaks to you on some level. For example, I have sent you. I think you actually posted that on Twitter. I think the video of elderly people like being like exploded.
That was wild. Okay, for people who have seen the video where it was an elderly man and his dog getting killed by a Russian drone, and it was shot in like fucking 4K HD. Bro. Don't watch it, okay? I'm just gonna say don't watch it, alright? It's just like the Charlie Cook footage, just don't watch it, okay? Dude. Yeah, do not watch it, okay?
Basically by a Russian drone.
Jesus.
And yeah, you have posted it. I sent you, and you said like people. I think you said something like people give a fuck about like Ukrainian lives only when it's like
black people killing them in the U.S. or whatever.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then you posted this. I have posted. You send you, and then the dog also dies that the elderly gentleman has, and they both
His head, I'm pretty sure his head was blown out and you can see the brain getting splattered across the road. That was against a civilian. That wasn't a soldier. That person couldn't serve in the army anymore. He was a civilian and he got his brains blown out. Nuts. Yeah.
The elderly guy gets his head turned off immediately, like it's just blown up. And the
Yep.
dog, it's kind of like flops about for like a long time because I guess it's like a shrapnel pieces that hit it. And I don't know, just seeing that
It's a
got me like
slow
super duper
death.
in a bad state. Although I saw this thing like multiple times, but just this elderly guy getting blown up with like white flag walking across trying to get from occupation to Ukraine, essentially.
I think that was the
And
same
this
person.
dog flopping about, I don't know, something about it just broke through the the shield, I guess. And the other elderly gentleman sees that, that happened. And he starts like doing the prayer thing, basically. Like cross, sign.
Also, not only that, the other elderly gentleman that saw that happen to that person didn't even react in a panic state. Yeah, like that person didn't even react in the panic state. It was as if it was like a daily occurrence for that person. As sad as it is, because when he saw the person getting blown up in front of him, he just simply did this. That's it. Like a witness. So yeah.
And I don't know, he was killed later after. So I don't know, just something about it just stood out. But mostly it's just, I just don't care very much. I
you
was
kept
also
on
like very
walking.
shocked first time I saw like a bunch of dead soldiers as well when I was driving to deliver stuff back in 22, like way back. And there were a lot of people, like they became kind of like part of the pavement. I don't know, it's gross, but I don't know how else to describe it. That they're like so many times have been the cars and like tanks drive over them that
Jeez.
they kind of like get like mushed into the ground.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
like
Tiananmen
human
Square.
waste. It's very
Nice.
not great. It smells even worse. So I remember like first time we walked past that and I was like very, very not having it. I was not pleased at all. And now I'm just,
What the fuck?
like I wouldn't even like bat an eye on that now. Like smell still would not be great, but I wouldn't really have like a distressed sort of reaction to that, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think humans
So-
acclimate to their surroundings pretty quickly. That seems to be a universal truth. But
Yeah,
it's still
we're
kind of
like
crazy how weird.
Very cockroachy. There was like this meme that only humans and cockroaches will survive a nuclear like apocalypse or something like that. I don't know if it was only here or if it was like all over the world. But I think like that's kind of true. Like we are about as adaptable as cockroaches, it seems.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I had like mixed feelings about it for a little while because I thought, is that normal? Like not to give that much of a fuck. I don't know. It felt like wrong for some reason, like morally. But then I was like,
I mean,
if it
people throughout
helps
history
me-
have been like in so many fucking crazy wars or crazy circumstances or whatever that I guess people do somehow adapt to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but also I then came to the conclusion that I would rather be functional. Like I would rather be useful to people, right? I would rather be able to do things effectively because many people depend on me. And rather than just falling apart over the every fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. I think it's like practical. Maybe it will catch up. Like I don't know how it's called exactly in English, but maybe it's the same because it's like a Latin-based thing. But all of us have like insanely high levels of cortisol,
Cortisol,
which
yeah,
is
that's what I
like
call it,
basic.
yeah. Stress hormone or
Yeah.
whatever.
So it's yeah. So I went to the doctor because of like insomnia stuff I have, and they like measured a bunch of stuff, typical, exam sort of thing, and they were like, "You have crazy levels of cortisol," and I'm like, "No shit."
Yeah.
Ain't no way. And they were like, yeah, they started laughing as well, doctors, I mean, and they were like,
Oh, yeah. Dude, I don't know if anyone has ever been through a situation, like, has anybody else been through a situation where you're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack and you can actually feel the cortisol rushing through your veins? Has anybody, like, felt the cortisol rushing through your veins before? I've never felt that until when I was having anxiety breakdowns all the time on my final year in college, because of my crazy like fucking OCD that was going on during that time. I could feel it. I could feel it, right? You just feel like complete shit. Yeah, there's just no other way to describe it. You feel chemically like it's like you ingested some chemical or you had some chemical like injected into you that makes you age 10 times faster and makes you feel like shit, and you can feel it in your fucking body. Like, you can feel it in your body. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's my job to tell you, but literally,
Yeah.
like all people in Kharkiv have those. Like, it's you know, it's like not.
I think
like
I would rather
something we
be on
can really do about
SSRIs,
it.
okay?
And I was like laughing at him as well, and I was like,
I think
give me
that's
your
my
prescription then. Like,
that's
what
my
should I do
prescription.
to reduce the levels? And he started memeing. He's like, good sleep, you know, relaxing baths, no stress, you know. No, I just had a little laugh basically. Yeah, so people like kind of, you know, as well adapt to that, but they also have like a bunch of adrenaline, all sorts of stuff like constantly, and all of that I think affects you like physically as well. So
Yeah, especially in the long term, yeah.
well, long term might not happen, so who cares? Like,
Jesus.
yeah, I'm just it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of not fun to think about like future. You mostly think about today, I guess, or tomorrow maybe at best.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it has been for a while, I think, since 22. So I'm kind of like not trying to fixate too much on the future, because who the fuck knows if there be one. So
Yeah.
why bother? You know?
I remember in the United States, it's like people's lives were ending because they were missing their senior prom because of COVID. I wonder what it's like if you're 16, 17 in Ukraine and you're trying to think of like a college major for a future
Oh,
job.
man.
And, like, I can't even
I
imagine,
feel
and you don't
so
even know how much
bad
it's
about
such an
them.
insane.
Like, yeah. My sister works with like teenagers a lot as a psychologist. And like she tells me a lot about like, you know, how they're feeling, what they're talking about, the kids, I mean, right? And it's so sad. It's like actually makes me really mad because first of all, there was like COVID. So a bunch of them missed school already because of that. And then the war, and it's like literally been like now like years of them not having any normal experience whatsoever, like in schooling, in like socializing. Yeah, there was like this story.
I wonder if Anna is considered one of the top propagandists in Ukraine, in a good way, of course. She probably is. She's just really active in that shit. I think she's recently made it onto the national newspaper for Ukraine. So good for her. Yeah, it's paying off. Like, I feel like propagandist is like not a good term to use for her, because propagandist implies that you're like trying to push something dishonestly. But everything she's been trying to do is pretty honest. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I don't like the word propagandist because that implies something bad about somebody.
Recently that
I
I
don't
heard
know.
from a friend that she showed her like small kid. She bought her like a school, like it's called penal, but I don't think he called that in English that way.
But what
It's
do you
like
call?
a
But at the same time, what do you call somebody who kind of works on behalf of the state in terms of like public shit, but isn't representing things dishonestly? Like, what do you call them? I don't know. I just don't know what to
little
call
school
them.
bag thingy basically that you can put stuff in, like organizer kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and a plastic box basically. And her mom decorated the plastic bag bowl like with a bunch of stuff, like, you know, cutesy
Yeah?
like anime
Okay.
things, like I don't know, like some cartoons, stuff like that. And she put a plane there, like a travel
Propaganda
plane
can be honest.
basically.
Okay.
And it's like a cartoonish plane with English saying in English saying like nice travels, so like happy travels, you know, something like that. And the girl, the daughter, asked her, Mom, why is there like a bomber here? Like a warplane.
Oh, because her only frame of reference for an
yes.
airplane is a thing that just bombs you, not even for something. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
jeez.
And my mother, who's like, you know, friend, she's like, she was like, I'm gonna like fucking lose it. She like was so upset that she didn't even think about it. That for her, the planes still associate with travel, like with, you know, with like good times, basically, right? Because she's like 30 something, right? And her kid only associates them with war and nothing else. And that was like kind of a little bit uncomfortable.
As expected.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I initially actually was gonna phone to talk about
Steven, you gotta learn how to do better responses, dude. Like, you can't. Stop. You sound like a sociopath. Like, you actually sound like a social. Stop. Please, just. Oh my god. It's fine, okay? Anna actually really likes Steven. The reason for this is because I think one of the things that she has said is Steven reminds her of like a Slavic man, right? Someone who is just very stoic and very nonchalant and emotionless in demeanor, and just accepts everything that's coming. So she says that, oh yeah, well, this is actually normal, like, to me. And I'm like, okay. I mean, if that's normal to you, that's fine. But from my perspective, he looks like a psycho, okay? But I was like, okay, all right,
Pretty
man.
sure 33, and we still
Okay,
talked about the serious
cool.
stuff.